Welcome to The Core, coming to you live from Channels Television Studios in Abuja, Nigeria. I'm Linda Akibe, standing in for your regular host, Kadaria Ahmed, who is unavoidably absent. It's 198 days to the 2019 general elections, and money will most definitely play a big role in elections. From money needed to organize the elections themselves, to political parties and politicians putting together their manifestos, campaigns and rallies, printing of posters and media campaigns, the list is endless. But has money set a barrier which has cut off qualified Nigerians from running for elective positions? How can electoral body INEC guarantee financial fair play in Nigeria's political space? Why is it difficult for INEC to enforce limits on party financial contributions and expenditure, as well as prosecute election offenders? Today on The Core, we'll be examining election funding and what role money plays in elections, as well as the issues of checks and balances in the electoral process. But first, let's take a look at this report, which will set the tone for tonight's conversation.
Elections, a formal and organized choice by vote of a person for a political office or any other position. To run a successful election campaign, every politician needs a comprehensive campaign plan that will amplify his message and take it to every nook and corner of the constituency that is voted. This requires some money. But exactly how important is money in the electoral process in Nigeria today?
Politics is expensive in this country, right from the activities in party primaries, the nomination process, how you emerge as a candidate, which of course many Nigerians feel is too expensive, and then when you emerge, the fact that you have to engage in campaign, you have to bring out your manifesto and campaign and go across the length and breadth of the country, depending on the type of election we are talking about.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us once again.
In our climb, money, it seems, has completely taken over the electoral process, although there are rules guiding election spending.
Continuity is the key to your development.
There are specific amounts of money that you can spend. Now, the rules sometimes are flouted in terms of what others can do on your behalf. For instance, the law is not very clear on what friends and associations can do on their own.
The problem is, politicians pay little or no attention to these rules.
Any system that requires me, doing Okupe, to put together 3 billion naira to be the governor of that state, that system has no right to send EFCC after me.
I spent over 500 million for that Bayelsa election. It's just like a drop in an ocean. And after the election, my governor was telling me that I'm complaining, do you know how much I spent? That he spent over 16 billion. So how many young men in this country today have access to this kind of money? Let's tell ourselves the truth.
Is Nigeria losing out in a big way because those who could serve Nigeria faithfully are outspent?
I wish to run, but I don't have the money. Definitely, for a political office is for the children of politicians and big men in Nigeria, in which I didn't belong.
People borrow money to win an election. And it makes it so difficult, so expensive. And when they eventually get to the post, they have to recoup this money. And we're in trouble.
Sections 88 to 93 of the Electoral Act states that presidential campaign spending is limited to 1 billion naira, while governorship campaign spending is limited to 200 million naira. However huge as these amounts are for the common man, politicians insist the amounts are insufficient if you really want to win.
When people give out to individuals, it's lawful. But if you give it to a party and it's above 1.5 or 2 million naira, it is against the law. So we have the kind of legal system that encourages people to cut corners in order to meet the requirements. Then you talk about cost again. I ran my election on my own steam. But what about those who use presidential jet?
Another challenge is a loophole found in Section 91(8)(b) of the Electoral Act, which disregards any expenditure incurred before the notification of the date fixed for the election, with respect to services rendered or material supplied before such notification. Many politicians exploit this to expend huge sums towards their elections ahead of the official period for the start of election campaigns. And then there is the issue of third-party spending. Though Section 221 of the Constitution clearly states that no association other than a political party shall canvass for votes for any candidate at any election or contribute to the funds of any political party or to the election expenses of any candidate at an election. There is some evidence that this is ignored.
People believe when you come into politics, you get free money. So that is why the way politics is run in Nigeria is with such desperation. And our electioneering process has not helped matters. If you look at the Electoral Act, for example, regarding spending limit for political holders, it is even the punishment. So somebody can decide to obey the law by breach, knowing that the penalty is what they can afford. Imagine if you go beyond the cap as a president, your punishment is 1 million naira. So I can afford to breach it, spend 20 billion as much as I can have, as long as I can pay the 1 million naira, because the penalty is either 1 million naira or a prison of 12 months or both. And we all know you can't get the both. So usually you get to pay the 1 million and then you breach it.
So what exactly is the compliance level to these rules? Does INEC have investigative and prosecutorial powers to hold accountable those that operate outside the law?
The law gives INEC the power to ask for the accounts to ask political parties to render accounts, And for 2015, we have written to all the political parties. Many of them have complied. Some of them have not totally complied. There are no specific rules on the sanctions to be applied for that breach. You can only write a report to say, look at what has happened, and probably report to the National Assembly and all of that.
In May of 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. This effectively makes it possible for anyone to run for political office from the age of 25. In fact, you can be President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria